What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, legendary, retired, former, iconic, middleweight, undisputed world champion, Hall of Fame superstar boxer, turned co-promoter of Golden Boy Promotions, and Oscar the Golden Boy De La Hoya, that's his partner. I'm talking about none other than Bernard the Executioner Hopkins. With that said, Bernard Hopkins weighed in on undefeated, unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top 3 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, and Errol the Truth Spence Jr. having to pull out of his fight with legendary, iconic 8-division world champion Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pacquiao that was scheduled to take place August 21st, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. And Errol Spence, he suffered a tear in his retina, and he had to have immediate surgery, in which Errol Spence, the very next day, he showed that he was coming out of the hospital. He had the procedure done. He had a patch over his eye, so on and so forth. So a lot of fans, because this 30-second sparring clip leaked out from PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, and their special they were doing, all access build up to Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, and there was a clip in there which you could see Errol Spence sparring Manny Pacquiao clone, so to speak. He's mimicking Manny Pacquiao to help prepare Errol Spence for Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence, 27 wins, no losses, no draws, 21 big wins by way of knockout. Errol Spence is 31 years of age. Errol Spence stands at 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach, and the last time we saw him in the ring was when he took on the defeated 2-division world champion superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia in December of 2020. With that said, Manny Pacquiao, 62 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out 3 times. 42 years of age, stands at 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach, and the last time we saw him in the ring was 2 years ago, 2019 of July of 2019, when he took on defeated former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. So with that said, Manny Pacquiao is a southpaw, Errol Spence is a southpaw, and we see the clips in which the sparring partner was having minor success, and everybody took it and ran with it. It became a headline as everybody said Manny Pacquiao was struggling badly against his sparring partner. Even Keith Thurman, who's a rival of Errol Spence, and they never stepped in the ring together. Keith Thurman said that, he saw the clip and he didn't look good. Errol Spence didn't look good. So when the news broke that Errol Spence suffered a tear in his retina and had to pull out of the fight, everybody pointed to the sparring session and said that that's the reason why Errol Spence pulled out the fight, because in that sparring session, Errol Spence was struggling in the sparring session, and that Manny Pacquiao clone or replica was getting the best of Errol Spence. So imagine what Manny Pacquiao himself would do in the ring, because nobody can duplicate truly what Errol Spence has done. I mean, what Manny Pacquiao has done. So with that said, we have, you have Bernard Hopkins come out. Bernard Hopkins is an icon in the sport of boxing, okay? Bernard Hopkins is a Hall of Famer. He's probably the second, most people will peg him as the second greatest middleweight in the history of the sport of boxing. Okay, Bernard Hopkins was undisputed. He had a legendary reign where he was just beating everybody that came in his path. He was successfully defended his titles. Bernard Hopkins is a great fighter. Okay, and so with that said, and he's a businessman and a co-promoter with Oscar De La Hoya. Okay, and so with that said, Bernard Hopkins, he weighs in on this. And Bernard Hopkins, he alludes to that he knows he's privy to some information that the rest of the world is not privy to, because he just don't spew out the first thing he hears, and that's being reported and that he's being told. Bernard Hopkins finished his career 55 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws, 32 big wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out by Joe Smith Jr. That was his last fight. The only knockout in his career. He was knocked through the ropes. He stood at 6'1" with a 75-inch arm reach. Bernard Hopkins was a legend in the sport of boxing. He ended his career on 2 straight losses to Sergey Kovalev and Joe Smith Jr. So Bernard Hopkins, he alludes to the fact that he's privy to information that nobody else is privy to, okay? And he said that, contrary to the reports, Bernard Hopkins has heard, some other things that possibly took place. And then Bernard Hopkins said the truth will eventually come out. He says, the truth will eventually come out in due time. And he says that don't believe everything you hear. And he also says that, it was a very, very suspicious pullout, right? The way it took place. He said it was very quick. It was very swift. He says in the sport of boxing, he's never surprised. It was a very, very quick turnaround. And he was also hearing the whispers that Errol Spence was struggling in training camp. Okay, so Bernard Hopkins, who fought late into his, he turned 50 years old and still was boxing. He was still active and still successful. Okay, so Bernard Hopkins is saying that he's privy to information that's going to come out in the future, about what actually took place with Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. Well, my thing is this, right? If you're Bernard Hopkins, if you're going to allude to something, just say it. Okay, if you're going to let the world know that you're privy to information that the rest of the world, or not too many people, are privy to, and, you believe that there's some suspicion on the part of Errol Spence pulling out, then just say it. Don't allude to it. And then he tells Errol Spence, well, I respect Errol Spence. I'm a fan of Errol Spence, but this is suspicious. In the same token, he says that, he knows Errol Spence will fight anybody. Well, Errol Spence called out Manny Pacquiao. And if you're alluding to the fact that Errol Spence wasn't ready, physically, during this sparring during this training camp, then you should just say that. In the sport of boxing, there's too many whispers, okay? There's too many secrets. That's why the sport suffers, okay? We have too many questionable situations that go on within the sport of boxing. So if you're somebody of Bernard Hopkins' stature, okay, what do you stand to lose if you tell the truth? If you speak the truth or speak your truth, okay, what you believe to be the truth, okay, alluding to it is just as is no different than just speaking it. You might as well say it because you already alluded to the fact that you believe that Errol Spence is faking it, okay? The fact that you said it's suspicious, but then you turn around and you say, well, maybe it'll come out that it is true, okay? So, yeah, you can play the fence and say, well, I don't know. It's better to just come out and say, hey, I don't know about this, I truly am not privy to all the information, so I can't say if it was legit or if it's not. And then he goes on to say, if this could be a serious injury, and if it turns out to be true, my well wishes are with him. But if it's not, there's questionable situations. So you're alluding to Errol Spence not telling the truth, that this is a false alarm, okay? And so Bernard Hopkins, he says that, he's a fan of Errol Spence, right? Well, this is sort of backhand when you look at it from this standpoint, okay? All you have to say is, well, I don't know about how bad the injury is, or if he could have continued and, fixed this later on, something of that nature, or I'm just not privy to all the information. But Bernard Hopkins, he says that Errol Spence is suspicious how he pulled out of the fight, and he doesn't go by what the initial reports are and what they're put out. Meaning a promotional company and the managers and the teams. He don't go by that. He goes by information he finds out later on, which is understandable, okay? But we witnessed Errol Spence's car tumble down the street, a white Ferrari, tumble down the street. We didn't know what to expect. There was a lot of speculation. People were saying that he wasn't going to come back from the injury. There was a lot of people that stated that, his career was over. There was a lot of people, that said he wouldn't come back as the same guy if he did came back. And Errol Spence, 14 months layoff. Obviously, he done rehab. Obviously, he had to go back in to reacclimate himself to the sport of boxing. He couldn't have sparring for quite some time. And he came back and fought one of the best fighters in the world when he was advised to take a tune-up fight. And he chose not to take a tune-up fight. Even the likes of Bernard Hopkins said he should take a tune-up fight. And Bernard Hopkins witnessed Errol Spence come back in the ring and dominate one of the best fighters in the world. Bernard Hopkins has had questionable situations in his career. We could just point to the situation between him, the events that took place between himself and Chad Dawson, when everybody said Bernard Hopkins faked it in the first fight because he felt like Chad Dawson was getting ready to knock him out. Okay? He was faking the low blows. He was faking the injuries. He was putting on the show, laying on the canvas, rolling on the canvas, to the point where Chad Dawson was getting completely frustrated. And then chain of events took place and the fight was eventually called to a halt. Then he eventually fought Chad Dawson again and he lost back. So, he has had questionable situation and events in his career himself. So, Errol Spence has never given the boxing world any reason to give cause for pause. Okay? Again, like I stated, he was calling out everybody, including, he was trying to fight Keith Thurman. And when Keith Thurman was the belt holder and the unified champion, Keith Thurman wasn't given the time of day. Off of this horrific car accident, just 12 days after unifying the titles against two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter, he suffered that horrific car accident, was out for 14 months. Like I said, we don't know what took place in those 14 months for him to get back to the place where he fought Danny Garcia and dominated Danny Garcia, coming off of, for one, ring rust, 14 months, over a year out the ring. And you put it in perspective that you add on the fact that he was in a horrific car accident. He couldn't spar until nearly the fight was about to take place. And he fought one of the biggest punchers, one of the best fighters in the world, and dominated him. And nobody knew what to expect. And yet, he's the person that doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. So Bernard Hopkins is saying there's some questionable chain of events. And according to reports, this surgery that Errol Spence had would only see him out of contact for about 6 to 8 weeks. Which means that we could get Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao, should Manny Pacquiao be victorious against Cuban star WBA welterweight super champion Yordenis Ugas, who replaced Manny Pacquiao as the WBA super champion due to Manny Pacquiao's inactivity. Hadn't fought since July 2019 when he beat Keith Thurman for the belt. The WBA placed him as champion in recess and elevated Yordenis Ugas, who was the WBA regular champion. So, should Manny Pacquiao get past, as I highly expect him to get past Yordenis Ugas Saturday, Yordenis Ugas is replacing Errol Spence Jr. He was the co-main event against Fabian Madonna, who also suffered an eye injury and was had to pull out of the fight. Then we could possibly get Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence before the year's up. Hopefully that comes to fruition. It just eliminates a fight, because if Errol Spence would have beaten Manny Pacquiao, he would have fought Yordenis Ugas in December for the belt anyway in a unification bout. So all this did was fast track Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao for a unification bout now in December. So let's see how everything unfolds and plays out. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Oh, and again, before I forget, Bernard Hopkins, he stated, "We'll find out the truth," and says Errol Spence needs to show proof of the paperwork because it's not that hard. He says that if this was me, I would have shown my x-rays. I would have had no problem showing my proof of injury. So he needs to show his proof. So let's see how this unfolds. Make sure you hit the like button, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jada Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.